Well, man alive. I'm a minute late. I hope you guys will forgive me for that one. Today is Labor Day. How's everybody doing on this Labor Day? I'm having a great morning. I got up at a little bit later. I got about an extra half hour of sleep, and I got up and enjoyed a cup of coffee with my dogs. I know, pathetic, isn't it? And then took them on a walk, decided what I was going to focus on today. And I realized last week on my podcast, I didn't say, hey, it's Labor Day. So, I'm probably not gonna do a podcast, right? And then here I am. So for those of you on the live stream, I am testing a new service called StreamYard today. Hi, Carrie. Welcome, Carrie. It looks like we've got some people over on Float. So Float is working. Hopefully, Odyssey is working as well. Yep. So if you're on all three of them, I have like two windows to my right with the Odyssey and Float chats, and I have StreamYard in front of me, which won't show those comments, which is a crying shame, really. But how many of you are not at your job today because it is Labor Day? If you are not, type a Y in the chats. If you are, type an N. Hi, Cindy from Missouri. Just wondering how many of you are at home, and then from there, I'm wondering how many are planning to do something like a barbecue, or you're out fishing on the lake, or you're out recreating. Because that's what I was thinking about this morning when I was walking, is what we all tend to do on Labor Day. In fact, way back in the day, when I was working in libertarian public policy, we used to host a thing on Labor Day weekend called Laborless Libertarian Libation Weekend, where people came here from all over the country and hung out at the Holler Homestead, and we had a keg, and I live right by a lake, and they would go out and have a great weekend, and we just hang out and develop our relationships and drink a little drink and whatever else came up, and go for walks and hikes and out on the boat and kayak and all of that. So that's what I used to do for Labor Day. And then I eventually left the libertarian policy world and struck out on my own as a podcaster, a coach, and also a coffee roaster. And that's how a lot of you know me now, because I'm on the Unloose the Goose podcast. I'm on Living Free in Tennessee. And then you see me giving presentations about developing your skills and building the life you want to live on your terms. But then I thought back to, what was the original tagline of the podcast? Anybody know it? Does anybody know what my original tagline was? Steady presence. Awesome. You got your ducks on the farm this weekend. I love ducks. They're really fun. I've taught my ducks to answer me when I yell, duck, duck, duck. And then they come out and they say, they go, wah, 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 wah. Usually. The other morning I went out and did that and they did not answer. I was a little worried, but then it turned out they were too far away to hear me or something. So, anybody know that tagline? It was a woman's take on the walk towards independence. And back in those days, I started the podcast as a creative outlet because I didn't have one at my libertarian policy job, because it had turned from what I loved doing, which was helping people develop their marketing position and their strategic plan and gain skills that they need to get the word out and tell better stories, to I now run an organization and I got to deal with payroll and overseeing that the operations are done right, and inter-employee issues, and raising donations so that we can afford to do what we do, and all of these things. And I realized that work was soul crushing for me. What I wanted to do was be hands-on with people. And the podcast has really opened this up for me. So it was a woman's take on the walk to independence, because I was listening to all of these podcasts and the consuming materials when I was traveling in my car to donor meetings, or when I was on an airplane. I had lots of time to listen and watch. And I realized that there are a lot of women out there who grow and preserve food, who take care of their homesteads, who are the primary income in their family, who do all sorts of amazing things, and they aren't out talking about it so much. And I thought, well, we hear a lot from the self-reliant side from men, which is fine. I listen to those men, right? But we don't hear from a lot of women. And a lot of women have this drive to not be trapped at a job, and this drive to take control of their life and live it the way they want to, and set up a family strategic plan and all the things we talk about at Living Free in Tennessee, right? But Steady Presence has been documenting it on her channel. You must be female because I'm talking about female. Um, anyway, but women don't share as much, although they are now sharing more. This was about 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago, and so I started talking about it, and I started hearing from women over and over and over about how they thought they were the only one. They thought they were the only one, and that's because nobody had just well, I mean, people did, I'm sure, but there weren't enough voices talking that they felt they could organize around. And heard women who were the primary breadwinner because of illnesses their husbands had, or they were single, or whatever. There was a lot going on, a lot of mental illness in underlying all of this, a lot of addiction problems going on. And they would one day, many of them have the same story, stood up and said, screw it. I'm going to get out there and I'm going to build the best life I can with what I have. And over the advent of the first years of the podcast, we transitioned from a woman's take on the walk to independence, which I decided after a couple years, it did not matter my gender. It mattered that we put in best practices, whether we're men or women, to build the life we want to live on our terms. And the word build is really important because you're building it, right? And that brings me today. It's Labor Day. It is Labor Day. Today is a day that people who labor, rather than the people who have the capital, are supposed to get the day off because there's an underlying theory that, labor is abused and needs a day off. Okay. I have no problem celebrating labor. I am watching right now what happens when we have a labor shortage. And we have lots of businesses who cannot find people to keep things moving forward, and that's harmful. Capital is also important. A friend of mine had a meme today on Facebook where he was talking about how come there's not a capital day to go with Labor Day. And I agree with him. There should be both. We should celebrate both. They work together because people with resources, and your resources aren't necessarily money, right? It could be that I have a coffee roasting business, which means I have a building and a roaster and a bagger and a market where I can sell it, right? At Holler Roast. I have all of that, and I can only grow to this size with just me unless I add labor. And only recently have I found somebody besides Mama Sauce who I who I can trust to work. I'm seeing Ken on Float. Hi, Ken. I would trust your wife to work too, but she's like a 2-hour drive away. Anyway, people I can trust to do the work. And that's been a challenge for me. So I celebrate labor today, but there's something else I'm doing with my day off. Because technically this is a day off and I'm live streaming to y'all. You know what I decided all of us should do on Labor Day is ask ourselves, what can we do since we have this day off? If you have this day off, what can I do to build what I'm building a little bit better? Or to address the thing that I haven't been starting because I wasn't sure I could finish it and get that going? What can I build to make myself more independent going forward? And as I looked at all of the things I've been working on and all of the stresses and worries, I've been thinking about this for days going into Labor Day. I realized 2 things that make my product better for y'all. 1, all of the events for the rest of the year need to be finished with their operations plans and up on the website in order for people to be able to plan and buy tickets or whatever. And I've been kind of working on those a little bit every day. But today, without technically needing to roast because there's no mail to ship it anyway till tomorrow, and by not recording a podcast, that's 6 hours out of my day that's now back in my pocket. Rather than take those 6 hours and just hang out and, relax, which, if that's the thing you need to do, that's a different thing to move yourself forward. Some people do need rest. So I'm going to put that caveat there. I'm going to take that time that I got on Labor Day, and I'm putting it towards, 1, working on events and getting those up online so that we can start talking about them more, and I can say, "Go here to do this," and I'm gonna make it so my website, when you go to it, you don't have to go through 99,000 posts before you get to the registration link, which is a lot of people aren't finding Green Chili Day on September 18th because it's below about 10 posts. That's gonna change. That's gonna go below the first post, is the event link to sign up for things. And then that'll make everybody who wants to participate in the things we're doing, like turkey processing Saturday before Thanksgiving. We're going to be processing turkeys that Mark Alexander has grown. And we're going to give a class on how to process. You're processing your own turkey. We'll talk to you about how to prepare it for Thanksgiving, and you get to go home with your turkey. Or you could just buy a turkey. Depends on if you want to go skill plus food or if you just want food. But these are turkeys that are being pasture raised here right now on really good grass and really high quality feed. And they're treated well. And we're going to, of course, talk about how to cook a pasture raised bird and how to brine it and all of that, so you have a successful outcome on Thanksgiving. So that's really cool. And Eldon, awesome for you, signed up for Jason Stapleton's business building program. Let us know how that goes, Eldon. I want to know. Because I haven't gone through that one. The other thing is something I've been putting off for 2 months, and you're looking at it. I've been like, I really need to figure out the live stream thing. I need to figure out how to be on Float and Odyssey Live and not just YouTube. Because what I've been doing is streaming to YouTube and waiting for all of the magic to happen where it goes to Odyssey, which is great because then we have a backup of my live streams. But I would rather give my business to Float and Odyssey than YouTube long term, because I'm pretty sure at some point YouTube's not going to like my channel, just like it doesn't like a lot of channels. And probably about the time that monetization actually kicks in for me, because I have enough followers for monetization, but not enough hours watched yet. Right. And that'll change in the next little while. And then if they need to pay me money, then that's when they start looking at your content. I feel like, I'm just making this up, but pretty sure that's when they're going to want to be a little more careful about my content and what can monetize and what can't. Because right now it doesn't matter. They just throw advertisements on there without my permission, and you see them and there's nothing I can do about it. Well, you know what? I can control what I advertise on Float and what I advertise on Odyssey if I'm going to do that. And that's great. Ken, I'm sorry you're missing Green Chili Day. We would have loved to have you. It's going to be really fun this year. Food's going to be phenomenal. I'm working on that this week. I'm starting to pre-cook everything. So for Labor Day, I decided the second nut I would crack is this whole live streaming thing. And you know what? It's done. You know what it cost me? It cost me $240. So I had to decide, do I want to make a $240 investment in my business to do this? And so I did. I was like, okay, I'll do it. And you know what? I was already paying $15 a month for Zoom to do the webinars for my members. We can cut that out, and I can use Livestream's platform to do the webinars and the live stream. So it's really only $5 a month more than it was before, just to solve a simple question. So now I'm wanting to know, what are you doing this Labor Day? If it's a barbecue or hanging out at the lake, that's cool. But can you add one little section of your day where you're building? You're either preparing that fall garden. I know Jenny next door, she's making squash soup that she's going to get all done and then give to me. I'm going to freeze dry it. So she's kind of getting some food ready for winter. I know another guy, Brian, who completely went through his whole bedroom and sorted out, what do I keep, what do I get rid of, to declutter and then put it back together, and now has a nice calm energy space where he can sleep at night. I know that the other Holler neighbors have made plans for how rabbit processing day is going to go, and that's come together. I know a lot of people are doing a lot of things, and I think that's a great use of Labor Day. So really, my whole point with this broadcast is this: what can you do? If you haven't thought about doing something today that moves you forward, it's noon. It's 12 o'clock. And you have, right now, you could take 15 minutes, even if you have people coming to your house at 6 o'clock for a barbecue, 15 minutes to sit down, pick up your journal and I'm holding up my journal for those who hear the audio of this later. It's bright pink. It's bright pink because I asked a redneck to get me a journal last year during back to school time when this stuff is cheap. And all they had were pink ones. I don't like pink, by the way, but I'm okay. I never actually lose this journal because it's pink and start writing, how can I make whatever better? Whether it's how can I address the plumbing problems in my house? How can I make my income more stable? How can I pay off more debt? And just start brainstorming ideas, right? Drying okra and making fig preserves. I have not successfully grown figs here yet. That's like twisting a knife in my side, David. No, just kidding. Anyway, good for you. You got figs. I wish I had figs. And when you say something like that, start writing in your journal, how can I have figs at the Holler homestead? Well, the answer is I can, but I'm not putting effort into that this year because we're growing fodder. This year's whole layer of what we're doing, I got a fodder tree package from Nick Ferguson at rareplantstore.com. And then I took these bare root plants, and rather than put them in the ground, because I have a history of killing bare root plants, I ended up just putting them in pots. And then I kept them watered. And all but 2 of them have survived. And the 2 that died, it was one from Rare Plant Store, but I have more of that variety. And then the other one was a pecan tree I got from the Tennessee. They sell bare root plants every year, and it never came to life. So I think they sold me a dead tree for $3. So next year I'm not going to give them my $3. I'm just going to keep giving money to my buddy Nick Ferguson, who is sourcing good stock. And then the strategy where I put them in pots, I now have these awesome plants in pots. They're looking great. And I'm going to transplant them probably maybe on Green Chili Day, Green Chili Weekend. It depends on how chaotic it is, but right around that time, so that I have fodder trees. And then what happens is I train them to be used as feed. So once a year, I harvest the greenery and I dry it for my goats to eat and my pigs to eat. And then some of them drop fruit, and that fruit the animals can eat or I can eat. And I can also give it to them fresh. So we're planning out where these are going to be planted on the property. I've got about 20 trees to put out, anything from willow to poplar. I have some bush cherries. I have a butterfly bush and a few other things. Those are all going out. I'll let them grow about as tall as my chest, and then I'm going to snip them so they bush out at about chest height. I might be a little below, might be more waist height. And over time, I'll do what's called pollarding, which means I cut once a year some of the branches, like the whole branches off. And then the next year I cut different branches off, and I do that in a rotation. So the tree continues to put out growth at a level where I can harvest it for my animals. And in this way, I will have more feed coming from this property right here than coming from off property, because our biggest input right now is animal feed off property. Cindy, making caprese salad, all from homesteading canned chicken stock today, then barbecue, relax. See, there's somebody who is enjoying the bounty of their labor on Labor Day by putting time in to make something awesome from scratch. Good for you, Cindy. Keep us posted on Nick's plants. Going to do the same here. Okay, so he came out with those plants last probably January or February that he started selling them, and I'll definitely talk about it when he has a plant package ready to go. I don't know if he has anything for sale right now. It's at rareplantstore.com, so you can just go check that out. But I know he's also looking at putting together some really cool ground covery things like mint packages, different kinds of mints you can grow. And it's hard to kill mint. It's not impossible. I've killed mint. I think I've even killed some of Ken's apple mint. By the way, Ken, I managed to kill apple mint this year. So it is possible. The easiest way to kill mint is make sure it doesn't get any sun and no water, and that will eventually kill the mint. That's just the way it is. Ken says he's the only one watching on Float. You might be. It says I have more than one person watching, but I may have bored people on Float to tears because I'm not like, Float. But anyway, I do love Float's system, and it's a new audience. But I know I have multiples on there. I see there's 3 of you watching on Float. Hi, Float. It's a Float trio. Woohoo! I'm actually one of those 3, so there's really only 2 of you. Anyway, that's my Labor Day, and I hope you guys take advantage of your Labor Day. And if this year it didn't work out, you got a whole year to get ready for next Labor Day to put that in front of you and decide, what am I going to build on Labor Day that makes my life just 1% better? For me, I'm making my podcast and my content 1% better by being able to stream and actually interact with you on multiple platforms. Because before it was only YouTube comments, which is great, but now, as Ken can say, it can see I'm responding to float comments. And if anybody on Odyssey had said anything, which none of you have that I can see, I'm going to say, is anyone there? Is there anybody out there? Nope. There's just me commenting on me. So, Odyssey, you're losing the race, just saying. Anyway, any questions from you guys before I sign off and go to my next phase, which is an afternoon of event post creation and helping Tigger deal with his emotional turmoil that's making him meow right now, and all of the other things that I get to do to build a better life for myself today. And this is where I go silent, and then you catch up because you're like 2 minutes behind me. The other thing I'm going to do today, because it is Labor Day, I'm going to cook some badass food for dinner tonight. I've got an awesome meat stew, but I think I'm going to fish around in the holler freezer and maybe pull out some more steaks, because I had steak last night and it was really good, and make a really bacony, buttery steak for dinner. And then I'll serve it with green beans that are from the farmer's market, because mine are not. My fall green beans haven't green beaned yet. And then maybe watch a movie tonight. That's my plan after I have checked off the list that my stuff is done for today, which is getting these event posts up that are not up, which the 2 that I'm working on, by the way, guys, are on, I think it's October 23rd, but if it's the Saturday of that weekend, I'm working on Self-Reliance Day at Special Operations Equipment in Camden, Tennessee. That's going to be a really cool event. I'm trying to keep the cost of it down, but you come and you can go to all these demos of people who do cool things, like Patrick. I believe Patrick Rorman from Empty Knives will be there. Last time I talked to him, he was planning to come. He's going to do knife sharpening, knife care. I'm going to do canning or cheese making, and both. And what we're doing right now is we're going to put out to the network, if you want to do a demo, here's how you sign up to do a demo. So we'll see. There'll be about 10 demos at that day. And then at the end of that day, it kind of flows over into a party that they're throwing anyway. So that's going to be a really fun event, but I need all the sign up stuff done. And then we've got Turkey Day on Saturday before Thanksgiving. And at the same time, I'm putting together the preview of how the Holler Homestead Living Free in Tennessee Christmas reception will be, because that's usually the Saturday before Christmas. I need to look at a calendar and decide if that date makes sense, because I can't remember what day of the week Christmas is on. I just know the shipping deadline is going to be really weird this year at USPS. And I mean, honestly, if you're thinking about sending coffee, just for the record, if you're thinking about sending coffee for Christmas gifts, I'm going to have like a pre-sale so that you can buy it and tell me you want it shipped for Christmas. And then I'll probably send those all out no later than December 10th, because based on what's happened every year progressively for the last 3 years, USPS can't keep up. And I can tell you that FedEx isn't much better. I've been waiting for 7 days for something that's probably going to arrive ruined, because it was supposed to be here in 3 days from FedEx. They're just all not keeping up. And that means at Christmas time, ordering a little earlier is better. Anyway, happy Labor Day. Let's celebrate Capital Day later this month, because those 2 things need to work together for an economy to be healthy. Crazy talk, I know. And do something, anything to make your life 1% more what you want it to be. Make it a great week, everybody.